What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for stopping by the channel once again today. I got a little bit of extra for you. It is June 6th, 2022. I am JD from New York. As always, coming to you from the OTS venue. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on your Monday afternoons, wherever you may be. They are calling it a modern day classic, and WWE will be treating it as such moving forward. Cody Rhodes completely tears his pectoral muscle off the bone, goes inside Hell in a Cell to wrestle Seth Rollins, and it comes out being one of the best Hell in a Cell matches of all time, according to many within the WWE. I have the backstage reaction to Cody Rhodes going out there and doing what he did last night on pay-per-view. We'll go over that today on OTS. Also, I got news on MJF. More news coming out about MJF. Now, Time Warner and Discovery are getting involved. And MJF and all promotion of MJF is now going to cease all the way up top with Time Warner and Discovery executives. Also, John Cena drops the biggest clue that he may be a part of this year's Summerslam and a match with Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Go check out the Hell in a Cell post show last night. We were live until about 1:30 in the morning. 4,000 deep inside the OTS venue last night for what was a very middle-of-the-road show, highlighted by the stupidity of Cody Rhodes going out there with a torn pec muscle and wrestling Seth Rollins in the main event of Hell in a Cell. Go check that out. SmackDown, a bunch of extras, and anything else you missed last week. Everything is on the homepage right now for you. Also, I will be live for a brand new week of live streams tonight with Monday Night Raw and the fallout from last night's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Also, make sure you guys go and check out the merchandise stand over at bonfire.com. Get your t-shirts now exclusively on bonfire.com. And also, guys, hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes on today's OTS Extra. We're going to start with the John Cena news, man. I know a lot of people want John Cena back in the WWE, and I think the majority of bigwigs in WWE probably want John Cena back as well, being, to me anyway, he's still the biggest name that's still associated with the WWE right now, even though he is on a part-time basis. John Cena dropped a major hint on Instagram with possible SummerSlam implications. John Cena continues to have fans speculating that he's about to make his return to the WWE and make a run at the United States Championship with current champion right now, Austin Theory. Austin Theory retained his title over Mustafa Ali on Sunday's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. This morning on Instagram, as you guys see here, John Cena shared a photo of the United States Championship. It should be noted that Cena posts photos on the account with no caption, with the idea that fans can interpret however they want. Now, obviously, this was an image dating back to 2015 when he was the United States champion, and we had that John Cena United States Open Challenge. It was awesome and probably one of the best things that WWE has done on Monday Night Raw in the last 10 years. Clearly, the boot is not John Cena's. That is the foot, that is the boot of one Kevin Owens, who was the NXT Black and Gold champion at the time, and he started his main roster ascent then against John Cena. Now, John Cena and Theory have been teasing a feud as of late a lot on social media, as Theory previously pitched the idea of facing John Cena at SummerSlam. Last week, Cena named Theory as one of his favorite current stars, and when asked who needs an attitude adjustment, Cena named Theory in name personally, who has since responded to John Cena, obviously planting seeds for a potential SummerSlam match. Cena last wrestled on TV at SummerSlam last year against Roman Reigns in what I thought was a complete letdown of a main event match and a build for what should have been one of the biggest matches that WWE has done easily in the last decade. Now, I talked about this on Hell in a Cell and the post show last night on OTS, I actually would love to see John Cena versus Edge instead at SummerSlam. The Judgment Day versus John Cena, I think, would be a tremendous feud going into SummerSlam, and I don't really know how long Edge has as far as his WWE contract and how long he's going to be around. But if we don't do it at SummerSlam, it could be something that WWE sets up for WrestleMania, depending on John Cena's schedule. If he's free, I'd rather them get the match done now instead of wait and potentially not having Cena available to them. John Cena versus Austin Theory is obviously in the mindset of WWE to get Theory to the next level. Everybody looks at Theory as the next John Cena, not only in body type, but in attitude as well. He's got a lot of what John Cena had back when John Cena first started. They look like mirror images of one another. If you compare them both, Theory is very similar to a lot of what John Cena brought to the table. Better wrestler, but it's going to be obviously a long time before we see if Austin Theory has the charisma and the natural ability of John Cena to go out there and captivate an audience. I love the match no matter what. I don't think I'd do it now. I think I'd save this match for WrestleMania and just do it reverse. Do Edge and Cena at SummerSlam and then do Theory and Cena at WrestleMania and give him that big stage to get that big victory over John Cena. But WWE seemingly is going with this for SummerSlam. It's also a testament to WWE and the lack of star power that they have and the fact that they don't want to put anything into the secondary titles and be creative on Monday and Friday night with their secondary titles. It is a crime to where we see the roster right now that they have to go out and seek somebody like John Cena to wrestle Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Meanwhile, if WWE actually tries, they could have one of the best mid-cards for both the IC and United States title if they so choose. But they don't want to do that. But John Cena and Austin Theory clearly is being planted with all these seeds of rumors and all this stuff by John Cena. Theory going back and forth with John Cena. It more than likely will develop into something going into SummerSlam in Nashville, Tennessee. So either way you look at it, it's going to be great for Austin Theory. At least one guy on the roster that WWE finds to be a future piece of the company they're getting behind. I wish it was more so like this for everybody else as it is with Theory. But we will see if and when John Cena does come back to the WWE. If his Instagram post here with the United States title pictured on Instagram is any indication, we will be seeing him within the next several weeks back on Monday Night Raw. Warner Brothers and Discovery. They are now actively in the Tony Khan boat by removing and going all the way, removing MJF and all of his likeness from promotional spots and commercials, hyping up anything AEW related. This is a bit of an interesting news topic coming from the corporate side of things in regards to MJF. PW Insider is reporting as of today that a source at Warner Brothers Discovery confirmed that an edict was issued to have MJF removed from commercials and promotional spots for all AEW programming. The word is that he is currently being edited out of any TBS and TNT spots where he appears, and different footage is being used in his place. It was noted that they are making the transition, and as they make this transition, he still may pop up in some of the newer commercials for the time being. Last week, AEW pulled MJF from their roster page. They pulled MJF from shopaew.com. They unfollowed him via the All Elite Wrestling official Twitter page and unfollowed him on social media. His merchandise, like I said, was also pulled. He was removed from the intro for Rampage on Friday. AEW social media accounts have stopped following him as well. So they have run the gambit of eliminating MJF after his nuke promo on Wednesday's Dynamite against Tony Khan. Last week on Dynamite, like I said, MJF caused a stir with his promo about Tony Khan not paying him, calling him a fucking mark, and asking Tony Khan to fire him. His promo started out by mentioning that Time Warner Brothers Discovery executives were in attendance, and it would be a shame if something bad happened while they were there meeting with the boss man, Tony Khan. A lot of people, the geeks and the brain-dead idiots on social media, they will still play into the fact that Tony Khan is playing them like a fucking fiddle. Tony Khan and MJF and everybody involved are playing all of you like fiddles. This is just the extent of what they want to do creatively to make you believe that MJF is in some serious shit. It's not enough for you to believe what Tony Khan is doing. Now, they went above and beyond and even have issued an edict to all of the major suits and ties over at Time Warner Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery, about this MJF shit. And now it's being taken to the next level via them. What does that tell you? For all the people out there that want to claim that AEW is in some serious shit, the ratings don't really match up, and that AEW's got the potential to be canceled, everybody's on their fucking hands and knees in their bedrooms fucking praying that AEW gets canceled. This just goes to show you that AEW is in excellent standing with Warner Brothers and Discovery and everybody on the corporate side of things. Because if they weren't, then I don't think the executive team over at Warner Brothers and Discovery would be playing into a storyline issued by Tony Khan that's happening on Wednesday Night Dynamite. So for all the people praying for AEW's demise, I think you got another thing coming, because if Time Warner didn't believe in Tony Khan and AEW, and they didn't give a shit about Tony Khan and AEW, I don't think they'd be playing along with a storyline that happens on Wednesday night. There you go. So continue to pray. Tony Khan right now is in the midst of the biggest storyline in all of professional wrestling. No matter if CM Punk is going to be out with a broken foot, it will continue when he gets back in less than a couple of months. Details on that Eliminator Series. We finally got the full gambit of information regarding CM Punk and his broken foot not relinquishing the AEW World Heavyweight Championship and what this week will mean for AEW. Like I said, Punk is not relinquishing the title, and there was a lot of confusion coming out of Rampage. I'm glad everybody got on the same page and now understands what's going on. There will be an interim world champion crowns on June 26th at AEW's Forbidden Door with New Japan Pro Wrestling. It is believed he suffered a broken foot during the six-man tag team match on Wednesday's Dynamite. He probably suffered the broken foot by jumping into the crowd in what was an unnecessary stunt right before the six-man tag, which then led to him slipping off the top rope with a very fundamental CM Punk maneuver, that springboard clothesline off the top rope. He slipped and he played it off as if he was just playing around. But in fact, he had damaged his foot so badly that he did what he did in the match and he wasn't 100%. AEW announced the following details regarding the Eliminator Series that will crown this interim champion. AEW says that there will be a multi-stage Eliminator Series and it will feature the following. On Wednesday, an exciting battle royal featuring many of the top contenders in AEW, which will open the broadcast on Wednesday night during Dynamite this Wednesday, June 8th, from the Cable Dahmer Arena in Independence, Missouri, with the winner advancing to compete in the main events against John Moxley. That same night, the winner of the battle royal will meet John Moxley in an eliminator match in the main event of Dynamite, with the winner advancing to compete for the interim AEW World Championship at Forbidden Door on June 26th in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Meanwhile, on June 12th at New Japan Pro Wrestling's Dominion event at the historic Osaka Hall in Japan, highly decorated New Japan Pro Wrestling stars and longtime rivals Hiroshi Tanahashi and Goto will face off in an eliminator match for the interim AEW World Championship, with the winner also advancing to the Forbidden Door on June 26th, live on pay-per-view. So the winner of this Tanahashi and Goto match will go on to wrestle the winner of John Moxley and the Battle Royal in the main event of Dynamite. And I think we all kind of know where this is heading. The only thing that makes sense is John Moxley winning for the AEW side and Tanahashi winning for the New Japan side. Now, you're probably wondering, why is New Japan getting involved in this Eliminator Series, and why didn't they just keep Tanahashi in the main event after he came out and challenged CM Punk initially last week for the AEW World Championship? According to Dave Meltzer, this is all a New Japan idea. The New Japan side of this Eliminator is all a New Japan idea. This is not an AEW idea. I'm assuming Tony Khan wanted to keep Tanahashi in there and just go his route on claiming Moxley at the end of the night on Wednesday be the number one contender, and we get what I think should have been the original match planned for the Forbidden Door anyway, with Jon Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi. So it looks like we're getting that match regardless for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and Jon Moxley will be the first two-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Now, a lot of people are questioning Tony Khan's decision to give Jon Moxley a bye in the Eliminator series, and he actually took to social media to say this in regards to Jon Moxley. He added that Moxley is undefeated in singles bouts on TV and pay-per-view for 2022. Khan explained that Moxley is currently ranked higher than Anthony Ogogo because of the quality of his opponents. When a fan asked why Wardlow didn't receive the bye despite having more singles victories in 2022 than Jon Moxley, Khan noted that Wardlow isn't undefeated in 2022 singles competition. So Tony Khan had to go and explain his mentality and his reasoning for putting Jon Moxley in the finals of this Eliminator series in the main event of Dynamite, when everybody on social media had questions as to why Wardlow was winning all these matches and he was slotted in the standings in the win-loss record column over Jon Moxley. So I'm assuming Wardlow will be in the Battle Royal. We may see Wardlow win the Battle Royal for all we know. I wouldn't go that route. But Tony Khan did come out and explain on social media why you saw Wardlow there above Jon Moxley, who was at number 4, I believe, and then he moved up after the announcement was made to number 1, being made into the number 1 contender. And then Tony Khan obviously was getting all these questions as to why on social media, and he was nice enough to give everybody an explanation as to what he was planning and what he was thinking following this announcement made by CM Punk on Friday night during Rampage. Should be a very busy week for AEW, man. Probably the most newsworthy week in all of AEW history. CM Punk going down with injury. It doesn't look like he will be out too long, but it will be long enough where an interim champion, not a fan of it, it does look like it will be long enough where the interim champion probably is going to make a lot of sense because, you know, if you're Tony Khan, you do not want your AEW World Championship off of television for 4 to 6 weeks or however long it's going to take for CM Punk to heal his foot. There could be setbacks you don't know. It's better to be safe than sorry. So he wants an interim champion, and then the match that could potentially be at All Out. When we crown an interim champion against the real world champion at All Out, potentially, it could be Jon Moxley versus CM Punk, and that is a major money match, especially in Chicago, for AEW. And then we can pick up right where we left off with the MJF storyline. Now, I know a lot of people are claiming that it should be MJF to win the Battle Royal, MJF to beat Jon Moxley, and then MJF to go into the Forbidden Door and beat Hiroshi Tanahashi and strike while the iron is hot. Tony Khan could do that. At the end of the day, Tony Khan may actually do that. Being that MJF was removed from everything, I mean, it would be a fucking shocker to see him come in last minute and steal a Battle Royal and then go on to beat Jon Moxley by nefarious means. I could see it, but who knows what Tony Khan is thinking. All you need to know in regards to this is trust the process. Tony Khan has gotten this far with this storyline. He was obviously trending in the right direction with Punk on TV before he broke his foot. I say let's trust Tony Khan's process here to do the right thing. I think we all know what the end result is going to be, and the money match there is MJF for CM Punk. But right now, there's just a little bump in the road. And if we have to wait on it a couple of weeks or a couple of months, whatever the case may be, Tony Khan knows what needs to be done, and I don't think he's going to sit and wait too long on this MJF thing. I think he knows better than anybody that right now, the talk of the wrestling world is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. The other thing, speaking about talking about the biggest name in all of pro wrestling, WWE tried their hand at that on Sunday night with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes wrestled Seth Rollins with a completely torn off the bone pectoral muscle inside Hell in a Cell in the main event of Hell in a Cell's pay-per-view on Sunday night. WWE claimed that there was an angle that was shot at a Saturday house show with Cody and Seth Rollins, and that was the reason for the torn pec. So WWE tried to play it off as a storyline. Even on the pre-show, they did announce that Cody Rhodes was injured right before Hell in a Cell. Now, the tweet that WWE put out there was a little ridiculous because they did say in the tweet on social media, and I will post it right here for you guys, is that Cody Rhodes was attacked by Seth Rollins during that big promo on Monday Night Raw, and Cody tore partially tore his pec in that melee on Monday Night Raw, only to then not realize that he torn his pec, which I find very difficult to believe, go into the gym, work out, and then fully tear the pec muscle off the bone. Now, I don't know why they would claim that to be a valid excuse. I think if Cody Rhodes partially tore his pectoral muscle, he would know that something was fucked up and something was seriously wrong, knowing that he should not go into the gym and start lifting weights. I just find that to be utterly ridiculous, so I find that to be comical that WWE actually put that logic gap on social media. Now, the reaction to everything that happened on Sunday night, there was a morbid silence. If you guys watched it live, a morbid silence inside the Allstate Arena. I said this last night, and everybody wants to take fucking clips, 15-second clips, to push their own fucking narrative. Meanwhile, I said it word for word last night. I would not be surprised if this was Cody Rhodes' fucking idea from the start to go out there and want to wrestle with the injury that he sustained and wrestle with a completely torn pectoral muscle off the bone. That is just the makeup of Cody Rhodes. I am not surprised if that was the case. And apparently, according to Cody Rhodes, he cut a promo after the match was over, and that was indeed the case. I don't really understand why people are claiming this is, oh my God, let him do what he needs to do. Fine. Cody Rhodes is a man. He is his own man. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I'm pretty much targeting not Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes last night made himself into a legend, and Cody Rhodes is probably my favorite pro wrestler right now as we sit. But the thing with Cody Rhodes is this all falls back on WWE. Now, I look at this, and I have a couple of questions and a couple of concerns. I'll get to the report by WrestleVotes in a second. The one thing that I'm genuinely shocked by is how many people fucking stand up for WWE and claim when something like this happens, oh, why are you being so hard on WWE? Because now, in my point of view, from my point of view, a lot of people I haven't seen one fucking person recognize the roster problems, number one. Number two, do you realize what this potentially does and the favoritism that it shows? If WWE had, let's say, who was on last night's show? Mustafa Ali, right? If WWE had Mustafa Ali tear a pec muscle the way Cody Rhodes did, right? If Mustafa Ali tore a pec muscle and he was in this match with Austin Theory that's been brewing for a couple of weeks now, several weeks actually, and he wanted to wrestle with a completely torn off the bone pec muscle, do you think WWE would go and send Ali out there with a fully torn pectoral muscle off the bone to wrestle Austin Theory? No, they would have changed the match. They would have found a replacement, or they would have canceled the match completely and dropped every bit of the angle and not send Ali out there. What WWE has done now is they've made it a thing where a lot of the locker room now are going to look at what Cody Rhodes did and think that it is okay. What WWE's done is send Cody Rhodes out there, and now the mentality in the locker room could potentially be, well, if Cody did it, why can't I do it? If Cody Rhodes could wrestle with that sort of injury, then why can't I? WWE's never going to allow anybody to go out there. They allowed Cody Rhodes to go out there, but they're not going to allow anybody else to go out there. And why are we normalizing injuries like this in pro wrestling, where enough injuries happen in everyday fucking scenarios? Why are we normalizing letting Cody Rhodes go out there? WWE apparently had a backup plan in Drew McIntyre. Would it have made sense? No. But WWE did the story just in case they wanted to do it. And Cody Rhodes apparently wanted to go out there on his own and give the people their money's worth and really just kind of solidify himself in that moment, giving WWE their main event. You know, I love Cody Rhodes to death. Don't get me wrong, but there's some sort of ego there, and there's a complex there where WWE, they understand Cody's ego, and Cody's ego is so fucking big that I believe he pushes back and gets what he wants anyway. But Cody Rhodes has this complex where he wants to make good with Vince McMahon so badly that he would go out there and do what he did last night with no fucking regrets. I mean, it is commendable, and Cody Rhodes is his own man, but it's stupid at the end of the day. And some people may look at that as an influence. Some people may look at that as grit and determination. And that's the type of pro wrestler that I want to be, and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But what you're really doing is setting a standard for the rest of the pro wrestlers in that locker room that they will never be able to achieve. That's my fucking problem. Plus the roster problems where WWE right now, I don't really feel sorry for them whatsoever because they have done nothing to create any new stars, put all their eggs in the Cody basket, put all their eggs in the Bloodline basket, and everybody else has barely gotten any scraps to fucking get by. So Cody Rhodes is out. Roman Reigns is off television for a part-time basis now. So who exactly do they have to fill these top two spots that really nobody on the roster currently could fill any which way? I don't feel sorry for WWE whatsoever. And a lot of people are claiming that this is similar to Kenny Omega's injury. Oh, well, JD, he loved Kenny Omega wrestling through the injuries, but now he's got a problem with Cody Rhodes wrestling through the injuries. It's not the same fucking thing. How many fucking people out there are so stupid to fail to realize that this is not the same thing? Kenny Omega never came out with an entire right side of his body bruised from fucking top of the chest all the way down to his fucking rib cage because he tore a fucking pec muscle completely off the bone. First of all, Kenny Omega was dealing with a minor sports hernia. Kenny Omega has had years of fucking high-level matches with knee problems happening more and more and more often. He had a shoulder problem where he partially tore something in his shoulder, labrum, I believe it was. And he had vertigo, which he's been dealing with since 2017. I don't see how any of this is the same to Cody Rhodes, who fucking tore the pec muscle completely off the bone, went out there with a visible injury that was as grotesque as anything I've ever seen. So grotesque that it made the fucking Chicago crowd morbidly silent because they didn't know what to fucking think. It's not the same thing. Kenny Omega has gotten stem cell treatment. Kenny Omega tried to battle through all these minor injuries to a point where he wanted to go through it just to get to the Page match, to drop the title to Page, and then he'd say, you know what? The title's in good hands. The roster's in good shape. I can take 6 to 9 months off, recuperate, and come back and help when I am 100% healthy. This is not the same thing at all. This is not the same thing at all. These are nagging injuries that have crept up on Omega over a long, extended career. Cody Rhodes was legitimately injured 48 hours before Hell in a Cell, and people want to claim this is the same fucking thing. Give me a break. I didn't know I needed fucking doctor's advice from trolls on social media in regards to Kenny Omega and his ailing fucking status on AEW television. Give me a fucking break, okay? Now, WrestleVotes. They tweet out the Backstage reaction. WrestleVotes noted Rhodes and Rollins were highly praised for the quality of their match amongst the Backstage personnel, and especially with the obstacle of Rhodes' injury. They say, and I quote on social media, I've had multiple sources reach out this morning with exemplary words for the performance of Cody Rhodes and the work that he put in last night. Credit to Rollins as well. Those at Gorilla were said to have loved the match, a modern-day all-time classic. Hell in a Cell that WWE will treat as such moving forward. End quote. Now, Rhodes is expected to get surgery on Thursday morning, and he did say in the post-match promo that I seen floating around on social media that he will address everybody on Monday in regards to his torn pectoral muscle that he suffered while lifting weights. The primary date for his return targeted is the Royal Rumble, which at this point I do not see why Cody Rhodes should not win the Royal Rumble. And Vince McMahon should be waiting with this man's return with open arms and a WWE championship in his future when he gets back and 100%. Cody Rhodes and what he did was fucking incredible. Not many people would go in there and do that. If it was anybody else, they probably say, you know what, fuck it. But I have a very difficult time believing that Cody Rhodes went out there and said, oh yeah, this was my choice and my choice only. You mean to tell me that Cody Rhodes bypassed the word of Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, Kevin Dunn, and all of the top-tier medical personnel in the backstage area? He bypassed all of that, and he was given clearance by everybody to go out there and say, you know what, Cody, you want to go out there and wrestle? By all means, go out there and wrestle. Now, I'm not saying that if the injury was worse or it was a little bit more detrimental to Cody Rhodes that WWE would send him out there. That's not the fucking point. That's not the fucking point. I'm not an idiot. I know WWE wouldn't send him out there. Either way you look at it, they're still liable. You know, aesthetically, the way you look, the visual of what we saw last night is more damning than apparently the injury really was to Cody Rhodes, because he fully tore it off the bone. Apparently, there's no extra damage that he could really cause to himself. It's all about the pain threshold at that point. But why does he need to do it? Why would WWE give him clearance to do so if they have a backup plan? Their best interest should be in Cody Rhodes no matter what. If it's just pain threshold or if he tore the bone, the muscle off the bone completely. He is a liability no matter how you look at it. And like I said before, the whole fucking basis of my argument is if this was anybody else, WWE would have never sent them out there. Now you set a precedent for the locker room that they will never be able to attain, and that's not right, that's not fair, and nobody is treated equal in WWE. It's Cody Rhodes, and then when everybody else wants to do it, it's a no. Well, Cody Rhodes did it. No, you can't do it. That's fucked up. There's no equality in WWE. Nobody is on an equal basis. It's whoever's up here, and they choose whoever's up here. And if it happens to you down here, you're not allowed to do it because you're not those guys up there. That's a fucking bullshit argument. So give me a break with this shit and cut the fucking act, man. WWE, they're lucky that Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins had a tremendous match last night. They're lucky that they have somebody like Cody Rhodes on their roster, and they're lucky that Seth Rollins is as good as he is to bring Cody Rhodes to a match. The man had one fucking arm. You don't think the man's a liability? The man had one fucking arm, and the man, no matter how great they are, the man was a liability going out there because you need to have two arms and a functioning body to work a match correctly without injuring somebody. Who's to say that no matter how good they are, and Cody Rhodes got one arm, could have injured Seth Rollins badly to a point where Rollins would be on the shelf for many, many months. It doesn't matter if it's just Cody. He was a liability to not only himself, but to Seth Rollins at the end. But nobody seems to understand this, and they all want to fucking kneel and get down for WWE, man. We stand with WWE. Give me a fucking break, man. Give me a goddamn break. What WWE did last night, no matter how great Cody is and how fucking tremendous of an athlete he is, fucking legend after last night, what WWE did was pretty much prove everything that CM Punk said about the WWE medical staff to ring 100% true. Just put a Z-Pack on it. Just put a Z-Pack on it and you'll be all right. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you live tonight for Monday Night Raw. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you go and hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes minimum on today's OTS Extra. And like I said, follow me on social media as well for all the latest up-to-date stories, as well as notifications live for the YouTube channel. That is at JD from NY206 on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button as well down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And I will see you guys tonight live right after Monday Night Raw in the venue for Monday Night Raw and the post show right here on Off the Scripts. I'll see you guys later.